This is exactly why women's wrestling is dying in WWE right now. What happened on Monday Night Raw wasn't just a beatdown, it was character assassination. Raquel Rodriguez didn't just attack Lyra Valkyria, she obliterated everything that made Lyra special, everything that fans connected with, and everything that represented the future of women's wrestling in WWE. And the worst part? WWE management sat back and allowed this destruction to happen. You think you know what went down on Raw? Think again. What the cameras showed you was just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, there's a toxic power struggle happening in the women's division that's tearing apart years of progress, and Lyra Valkyria just became the latest victim of WWE's backwards booking philosophy that's setting women's wrestling back decades. Raquel Rodriguez, the woman who was supposed to be a role model, a leader, someone who lifts up other women, just proved she's nothing more than a selfish, jealous bully who can't handle seeing someone younger and more talented get the spotlight she thinks she deserves. This wasn't competition, this wasn't storytelling, this was straight-up sabotage of the most promising young talent WWE has signed in years. The wrestling world is in complete uproar right now. Female wrestlers from across the industry are speaking out about the disgusting display they witnessed on Raw, fans are canceling their WWE Network subscriptions in protest, and backstage sources are revealing that this attack has created the biggest locker room divide in women's wrestling history. Some are calling it the darkest moment in WWE women's division since the Attitude Era, and they're absolutely right. For months, we've watched Lyra Valkyria work her way up from NXT with pure talent, incredible athleticism, and a connection with fans that money can't buy. She represents everything that's right about modern women's wrestling: technical skill, authentic personality, and the ability to tell compelling stories without relying on outdated stereotypes or manufactured drama. But Monday night, all of that was destroyed in the most cowardly, unprofessional attack we've seen in recent memory. And the way it happened will make your blood boil. Picture this: Raw is building toward what should have been a career-defining moment for Lyra Valkyria. She's scheduled for a huge opportunity, the kind of match that establishes a wrestler as a legitimate main event player. The crowd is electric, chanting her name, fully invested in her journey from NXT underdog to Raw superstar. Everything is perfectly set up for Lyra to have her breakthrough moment on WWE's flagship show. Then Raquel Rodriguez's music hits. The crowd pops, expecting maybe some friendly competition or a respectful confrontation between two talented athletes. Instead, what we got was the most vicious, most unnecessary assault that completely destroyed everything Lyra had been building toward. Rodriguez charges down that ramp like a woman possessed, but not in a good way, in the way of someone who's let jealousy and bitterness consume whatever was left of her professionalism. Before Lyra even knows what's happening, Raquel is on her like a savage, throwing hands with the kind of reckless abandon that has no place in professional wrestling. The first shot catches Lyra completely off guard, a devastating right hand that sends her stumbling backward into the corner. But Rodriguez isn't done, not even close. She's grabbing Lyra by the hair, screaming something the cameras couldn't pick up, and you can see the pure hatred in her eyes. This isn't character work, this isn't storyline development, this is personal, and it's ugly. What happens next will haunt Lyra Valkyria's career for years to come. Raquel hoists her up for what looks like it's going to be a standard power move, but instead of executing it safely, she drops Lyra with such force that you can hear the impact echo through the arena. The crowd goes silent, not the good kind of silent, but the horrified kind of silent when everyone realizes they're watching something that's gone too far. But Rodriguez still isn't finished. She's pulling Lyra up by her gear, setting her up for move after move, each one more devastating than the last. The Tejana Bomb comes with such impact that several fans at ringside actually stood up in shock. You can see officials starting to move toward the ring, clearly concerned that this has escalated beyond what was planned. Here's what WWE doesn't want you to know. And this information comes from multiple sources who were in the building that night. This beatdown was not supposed to happen the way it did. Lyra Valkyria was supposed to have a competitive segment with Raquel Rodriguez, something that would establish both women as serious competitors while advancing their individual storylines. Instead, Rodriguez went completely off script and turned what should have been a wrestling segment into a personal assault. Backstage sources reveal that there had been tension between Rodriguez and Valkyria for weeks leading up to this incident. The friction allegedly started when Lyra began receiving more positive feedback from WWE management about her in-ring work and her connection with the audience. Rodriguez, who had been struggling to find her place on the main roster despite her impressive physical attributes, reportedly became increasingly resentful of the attention Lyra was receiving. The breaking point came during a creative meeting 2 weeks before Raw, when plans were discussed for Lyra to receive a significant push in the coming months. Sources close to the situation report that Rodriguez openly questioned why someone with less experience was being positioned ahead of her, despite Lyra's obvious talent and fan support. The meeting apparently ended with harsh words between the two women, setting the stage for Monday night's disaster. But here's the most infuriating part of this entire situation: WWE management knew there was tension between these two women and still put them in a segment together without proper oversight. Multiple sources confirmed that road agents and producers were aware of the backstage friction but assumed that both women were professional enough to handle their business in the ring appropriately. That assumption proved to be dead wrong. What makes this situation even more disgusting is how it affects the broader women's division. For years, female wrestlers have fought to be taken seriously, to move beyond catty stereotypes and be recognized for their athletic ability and storytelling skills. Monday night's incident plays directly into every negative stereotype about women being unable to work together professionally. The ripple effects throughout the women's locker room have been immediate and devastating. Sources report that several female wrestlers approached management after Raw demanding to know how such an unprofessional incident was allowed to happen on live television. The consensus among the women's roster is that Rodriguez's actions have set back the entire division's credibility and professionalism. Lyra Valkyria's physical condition following the attack is deeply concerning. While official WWE medical reports claim she suffered no serious injuries, sources close to the situation paint a much more troubling picture. Valkyria reportedly required extensive medical attention backstage and was said to be visibly shaken by both the physical assault and the professional betrayal she experienced. The psychological impact on Lyra cannot be overstated. Here's a young woman who came to WWE with dreams of making it to the top through hard work and dedication, only to discover that jealousy and unprofessionalism can destroy months of effort in just minutes. Sources close to Valkyria report that she's been questioning whether WWE is the right environment for her to develop as both a performer and a person. The fan reaction to this incident has been swift and overwhelmingly negative. Social media exploded with criticism of both Raquel Rodriguez and WWE management for allowing such an unprofessional display to air on live television. The hashtag Justice for Lyra was trending worldwide within hours, with fans demanding that Rodriguez face consequences for her actions. But perhaps more telling are the reactions from current and former women's wrestlers. Becky Lynch, despite not being directly involved in the situation, posted a cryptic message about professionalism and respect that many interpreted as criticism of Rodriguez's behavior. Sasha Banks, now wrestling outside WWE, was more direct in her criticism, tweeting about the importance of lifting up other women rather than tearing them down. Even more damaging for Rodriguez are the reports about how this incident has affected her standing within the company. Sources reveal that WWE officials were furious about her unprofessional behavior and the negative publicity it generated. There are whispers that Rodriguez's push, which had been gaining momentum, has been completely derailed by her actions on Monday night. The business implications of this incident are staggering. WWE has spent years building credibility for their women's division, investing millions of dollars in talent development, marketing, and presentation. One wrestler's unprofessional behavior has the potential to undo years of progress and reinforce negative stereotypes that the company has worked hard to overcome. From a creative standpoint, this incident has thrown multiple storylines into chaos. Lyra Valkyria was being positioned as a key player in several upcoming angles, and her physical and emotional condition now puts all of those plans in jeopardy. WWE's writing team has been scrambling to develop alternative storylines while hoping that Valkyria recovers quickly enough to continue her planned trajectory. The locker room atmosphere in the women's division has reportedly become toxic following this incident. Wrestlers are choosing sides, with some supporting Lyra and others remaining loyal to Rodriguez despite widespread criticism of her behavior. This division threatens to undermine the collaborative environment that's essential for creating compelling television. Veterans in the women's division have been particularly vocal about their disappointment. Sources report that several longtime WWE women's wrestlers have approached management to express their concerns about the message this incident sends to younger talent. The fear is that upcoming wrestlers will see Rodriguez's behavior as acceptable, leading to more unprofessional incidents in the future. The international wrestling community has also taken notice of this situation. Women's wrestlers from promotions around the world have been discussing the incident on social media, with many expressing disappointment that such behavior occurred in WWE, which is supposed to set the standard for women's wrestling globally. Training and development programs within WWE have reportedly been affected by this incident. Coaches and trainers are now having to address professionalism and backstage behavior in ways they haven't had to in years. The incident serves as a cautionary tale about how personal issues can destroy careers and relationships within the wrestling industry. What makes Rodriguez's behavior even more inexcusable is the example it sets for young fans. WWE's women's division has worked hard to present positive role models for female fans, showing that women can be competitive without being vindictive or unprofessional. Monday night's incident completely undermines that message. The financial implications for Rodriguez personally could be severe. Sources suggest that her merchandise sales have plummeted since Monday night, and several endorsement opportunities that were in development have been put on hold. The wrestling business is ultimately about fan support, and Rodriguez has managed to alienate a significant portion of her fan base with one night of poor decision-making. Medical staff's response to the incident highlights how serious the situation became. Multiple trainers and doctors were required to assess Lyra's condition following the attack, taking valuable resources away from other talent who might have needed medical attention during the show. This additional strain on WWE's medical team was completely unnecessary and avoidable. The production challenges created by this incident were significant. Camera operators and directors had to make split-second decisions about how much of the attack to show, balancing the need to capture the story with concerns about broadcasting something that had clearly gone beyond acceptable limits. The technical crew deserves credit for handling a difficult situation as professionally as possible. Commentary during the incident played a crucial role in shaping viewer perception. The announcer's obvious discomfort and struggle to explain Rodriguez's behavior added to the authenticity of the moment while making it clear that this wasn't typical WWE programming. Their professional handling of an unprofessional situation deserves recognition. The timing of this incident couldn't have been worse for WWE's women's division. With several major storylines building toward important pay-per-view events, the company needed stability and professionalism from their female talent. Instead, they got a reminder of how quickly personal issues can derail carefully planned creative directions. Legal implications surrounding the incident are surprisingly complex. While wrestlers generally accept certain risks when they enter the ring, Rodriguez's off-script behavior creates gray areas that WWE's legal team has had to address. Ensuring talent safety while maintaining the authenticity that makes wrestling compelling is always challenging, but incidents like this make it even more difficult. The impact on WWE's corporate image has been significant. The company has worked hard to position itself as a family-friendly entertainment brand, and incidents like Monday night's attack threaten that carefully crafted image. Corporate sponsors and partners are reportedly monitoring the situation closely to ensure their brands aren't associated with unprofessional behavior. Merchandise and marketing campaigns featuring both wrestlers have been affected by the incident. WWE's marketing team has had to quickly adjust promotional materials and future campaigns to account for the changed dynamics between Rodriguez and Valkyria. The financial cost of these last-minute changes is substantial and completely avoidable. The educational aspect of this incident cannot be ignored. Wrestling schools and training facilities around the world will undoubtedly use this situation as an example of how not to handle professional disagreements. The incident serves as a powerful reminder that wrestling success requires more than just physical ability. Professionalism and character are equally important. Social media management for both wrestlers has become a nightmare scenario. Rodriguez's team has been working overtime to manage the negative publicity while trying to maintain whatever fan support remains. Valkyria's social media, meanwhile, has been flooded with supportive messages from fans who want to see her succeed despite the setback. The psychological support systems within WWE are being tested by this incident. Both wrestlers will likely require counseling and mediation to address the issues that led to Monday night's confrontation. The company's investment in mental health resources for talent becomes even more important when dealing with situations like this. International media coverage has been extensive but largely negative. Sports and entertainment outlets that rarely cover professional wrestling have picked up this story, but not for positive reasons. The coverage reinforces negative stereotypes about wrestling being unprofessional or fake, undermining years of work to legitimize the industry. The influence on upcoming women's wrestlers has been immediate and concerning. Young women who aspire to join WWE are now seeing an example of how personal conflicts can destroy careers and relationships. This could potentially discourage talented athletes from pursuing wrestling as a career option. Training regimens and preparation methods throughout the women's division are being re-evaluated following this incident. Wrestlers are being reminded that professional development includes more than just physical conditioning. Emotional maturity and conflict resolution skills are equally important for long-term success. The ripple effects on WWE's developmental territories have been significant. NXT coaches and trainers are having to address the incident with their talent, using it as a teaching moment about professionalism and career management. The hope is that future generations of wrestlers will learn from Rodriguez's mistakes. Industry analysts are already examining the long-term implications of this incident. The consensus seems to be that while one wrestler's poor behavior shouldn't define an entire division, it does highlight ongoing challenges in managing talent relationships and maintaining professional standards in a competitive environment. The technical aspects of Rodriguez's attack, while professionally inexcusable, did demonstrate her physical capabilities. However, the misuse of legitimate wrestling skills to settle personal grievances shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what professional wrestling should represent. Talent should elevate the business, not use it as a vehicle for personal vendettas. Recovery and redemption possibilities for both wrestlers will define the next chapter of this story. Valkyria has the opportunity to emerge from this situation as a sympathetic figure who overcame adversity through professionalism and grace. Rodriguez, meanwhile, faces the much more difficult task of rebuilding her reputation after such a public display of unprofessional behavior. The broadcast presentation of this incident will likely be studied by wrestling historians as an example of how real conflicts can intersect with entertainment programming. The challenge of presenting authentic moments while maintaining safety and professionalism is one that WWE will continue to face as long as real human emotions are involved in their storytelling. Moving forward, WWE management faces several critical decisions. How they handle the aftermath of this incident will send a message to the entire roster about what behavior is acceptable and what consequences exist for crossing professional boundaries. The company's response will likely influence talent behavior for years to come. This incident represents everything that's wrong with allowing personal conflicts to interfere with professional responsibilities. Raquel Rodriguez's attack on Lyra Valkyria wasn't just an assault on one wrestler, it was an attack on the professionalism and credibility that the entire women's division has worked so hard to establish. The wrestling world will be watching closely to see how both WWE and these wrestlers handle the aftermath of Monday night's disaster. The choices made in the coming weeks will determine whether this incident becomes a cautionary tale that strengthens the women's division or a destructive force that sets back years of progress. What happened on Raw was more than just a beatdown, it was a reminder that professional wrestling, at its core, requires genuine respect between competitors and a commitment to the business that goes beyond personal feelings or career ambitions. Raquel Rodriguez forgot that lesson on Monday night, and both she and the entire women's division are paying the price for her unprofessional behavior.